What's up, everybody? Ignore my hat because it's wash day, but I thought I would do a little bit of a video to kind of just let you get to know me more, I guess. And I'm gonna yap as always. So I thought today I would make a video of my holy grail books. So I feel like I am just of the next person where I do have a lot of cringy favorite books, I guess you could say. I got into reading probably about 2.5 years, like two and a half years ago. And so of course the books that got me into reading are books now that I feel like I maybe wouldn't like as much if I read them today, but they are still my holy grail books. And or if you guys are just getting started into reading, what books I would recommend to you to kind of be like the basic books to kind of get you started into your reading journey. It's January, it's 2026. Everybody is looking for new book ideas, and I do have a Goodreads where there's a lot of books on there that I want to read so badly that are not released yet. But I thought I would kind of dumb it down and make it easier, that if you're getting started into your reading journey, if you've never read before, if you've only picked up, like, you know, last time you picked up a book was like Divergent or Harry Potter, this video is for you. If you want to get started into reading but you have no idea what to do or how to start. So my camera is okay. I think that's better. I'm gonna get into it. These are, oh no, holy grail, my holy grail books. Again, ignore my appearance. It's wash day. It's been a day. Okay, first we're gonna start with the, I guess you would say, like, super basic stuff. These are books that I started reading when I got into reading, and yeah, we're just gonna get into it with the stuff that everyone knows and everyone loves. First book that I would put in my holy grail is Throne of Glass. I love Throne of Glass so much. I just had to mention her first. Really, the whole series I would put into holy grail, but if we're just doing one book at a time, Throne of Glass. I want to reread the series so badly, but maybe not yet because it's a commitment, if you know. But this is just overall a great book, I feel like, to not necessarily start with, but it is going in the holy grail. So maybe after you get a few of these other ones under your belt, you can go back to this guy. That's what I did. I feel like if I started with Throne of Glass on my reading journey, I would be kind of extremely overwhelmed. So Throne of Glass, but only after you've read a couple other books, if that makes sense. I actually have a Throne of Glass tattoo. I feel like in all my videos I keep talking about tattoos, but I do actually have a Throne of Glass tattoo right here on my arm, because you do not yield, you know? So Throne of Glass is definitely the first mention of my holy grail. It's going in there. Next, we're gonna go the same route, and this book is kind of what I was talking about, where if I were to read it now, I don't know if I'd like it that much, but it's definitely crucial, I feel like, to every single reader's journey, and that's A Court of Thorns and Roses. We know this book, we know this series. We're aware of the series. Again, I think you love these two books, probably more so this one, because it was probably one of the first books that you read that got you back into reading. So I'm gonna put it in my holy grail because it did give me the gateway into reading. It kind of kickstarted my whole reading journey, and for that I'm grateful for it. However, I do think there's better books out there. But it's going in the holy grail because I wouldn't be here without it. So it's going in the grail. The grail, is that the word? It's going in the grail. I don't know. Next, we're kind of following that same path again. My camera keeps literally going crazy, so we'll see. We're gonna go in that same kind of path that we've been going on with famous books that I feel like are kind of like the major ones that people kind of, you know, clock the word book talk and reading journey with. But this one I just reread, and I will say it does hold up, and that's gonna be Fourth Wing. It's going in the grail. This was, I think this was actually the first, book that went back into reading. So like I had read Fourth Wing, and then I read this whole series, and then I read Iron Flame, and then I read Throne of Glass. So I think this was actually the first book that did like get me back into reading. But A Court of Thorns and Roses was really like the first one that I was like, okay, I want to do this, I want to keep reading, etc., etc. But Fourth Wing, it holds up. I reread it in late 2025, like around like Halloween time, and I loved it just as much. It's a really good one, and if you like dragons and tall dark men, this is for you. So it's going in the Holy Grail. And I think that's kind of like the basic, I feel like, big three. I don't want to say big three because there are so many other great books and amazing books that are big in the book talk world and just in the book world in general. But I feel like these three are definitely, everyone's gonna know these titles. And so it's going in the Grail because they seriously do all hold a special place in my heart. But I do feel like they are not, quote unquote, the best books I've ever read, but they are really special to me, and they should be special to everybody else. And so they are my top three in the Grail, I think, because if you haven't read these, you need to, just for the plot. Just do it for the plot. Just say you've read them if you haven't. I will say, out of these three so far, Throne of Glass for me is definitely the most, what's the word, like not inspirational. Yeah, I don't know. In Throne of Glass, there is so much that happens in Throne of Glass that you just take away so much more from Throne of Glass than I feel like any of the other books so far. And Throne of Glass is such a journey in and of itself that it's worth it. So these are the top three in the Grail so far. Now we're gonna get into some stuff that I feel like most people know, but they're still going in my Grail just because. And we're kind of gonna skip around for this next one. So this next one I think is the second book in a series, but it's the best one so far in my opinion. I have to shout out my cowboy romance always. I am a cowboy romance girly until I die. And that is gonna be Heartless by Elsie Silver. I know this isn't the first book in the series. I read the first book, what is it, Powerless? Reckless? Flawless. I read Flawless, and I was like, oh, I hate this. And Flawless was the first cowboy romance that I'd ever read ever. And I started reading it, hated it. I finished it, but I was like, I feel like I just read something that a 5th grader wrote. No shade to Elsie. I love Elsie, but the language, I think I'd went from Iron Flame to Flawless, and I was like, what is this? I love Elsie. Clearly I love Elsie Silver. I've got all of her books. And Flawless isn't going in my Grail, but Heartless is. I think about this book once a week. Honestly, once a week I think about this book. And Cade Eaton, the man that you are, sorry, I don't even like single dads. Single dads aren't even my favorite trope, and she belongs in the Grail with a little gold bow on her, okay? Heartless, the series is great once you get past the first book, in my opinion. And again, the first book isn't horrible. It's just, I don't know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was like her first book that she had ever written was Flawless. I could be wrong. It might be the Gold Rush Ranch series, but I think Flawless, it just reads like it's the first book that Elsie has written. So it's not horrible. It's just not, her writing has definitely matured throughout the years, as it should. And I feel like that's a great thing, honestly, and something that I personally love in some of my favorite authors. Like, you can see their progression in their writing, and I think that that's more beautiful than an author who has great writing throughout their whole life and their whole career. I love watching authors' writing style and dialogue style and the maturity in their pieces. I love watching that grow more than it just staying stagnant. So I love Elsie for that reason, but we're gonna pick Heartless over Flawless. We have to. You have to. If you like grumpy sunshine single dads, this book is for you. Also, Willa. Like, I strive to be Willa every single day of my life. Anyways, enough about that. She's going in the Grail. Okay, we've got a couple more. There's definitely so many books that I could keep putting in my Holy Grail, and if you guys want more of that, I can. But I only have 2 more books for you guys for today, because these are like the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail. Like, I'm not showing you guys 12 different books. These are books that, again, if I were to put them in a time capsule and 10 years later come back and open it up, I would be like, oh my god, my babies. And that is how I generally feel. So 2 more books. The next one is, again, kind of I feel like it's going to be a controversial opinion, but I have a story behind it and I want you guys to know that story. The next book that I'm putting in the Grail is going to be Funny Story by Emily Henry. I know that this book and book lovers get a lot of controversial, I don't want to say hate, but there's definitely people that don't like this and there's people that don't like book lovers, and I think those 2 are my favorite Emily Henry books. The story behind this book and why I'm putting it in the Grail over my other favorite, because my other favorite is Beach Read. I'm putting this in the Grail because this was the first Emily Henry book that I read. And I feel like, just like with A Court of Thorns and Roses, a lot of people love A Court of Thorns and Roses because that's the first book that they read, like either getting back into reading or just reading in general. And I feel the same with Emily Henry. I feel and I fear that the first Emily Henry book that you've read, like you've ever read in your life, is going to be your favorite. And that for me is Funny Story. I read this on a plane ride, either going to Florida or on my way back from Florida. It was so refreshing. And I say the same about B.K. Borison as I will Emily Henry. Emily always makes me want to romanticize my life and do something with my life, and she makes me want to be creative. She makes me want to write. She makes me want to read. She makes me want to inspire others and create something and create a life that I love through her books and her writing. And so, love that. Emily, she's one of those authors where she doesn't need to progress, honestly. She doesn't need to get better because she already is the best. One of the best, in my opinion. And so, yeah, Funny Story is going in the Grail. And gosh, oh my gosh, that's so funny. I still have my plane tickets in here. Oh, but I love Daphne and Miles. They're one of my favorite stories. And honestly, I should reread it soon. But she's going in the Veil. The Veil. The Grail. Okay, last one. You guys are seriously gonna be sick of me talking about this book, but she has to go in the Grail because she was my favorite book of 2025, and that is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I feel like this is such a great first book for someone to read. If you're looking to get into romance, I would highly recommend either BK or Emily Henry. I always will. And I don't want to name drop. Some of the other famous authors that are known for romance nowadays, I just feel like are so not cutting it and millennial based and just not refreshing enough. And I feel like a lot of times with romance, especially in part of our society, a lot of romance has to go almost hand in hand with something either like morally gray or ethically gray. There's not just like any good romance books that feel like you're, you know, stepping into a 90s rom-com or a 2000s rom-com. I feel like a lot of the romance books that are hyped up nowadays are also glorified for going hand in hand with either cheating or abuse or, you know, infidelity or something like that. That is kind of, it's interconnected, and I just don't like that personally. If I want to read a romance book, I don't want it to be like super dumb, blonde, like dumbed down to like rainbows and unicorns, but I also don't want to feel heavy and feel like, oh, well, like, I don't agree with that, really. Like, I don't really agree with that. And so I feel like First Time Caller is just such a great book that if you want to feel like you're stepping into Sleepless in Seattle or 13 Going on 30 or When Harry Met Sally, like if you want that vibe where you are in a rom-com where you can just sit back and relax and feel something real at the same time, First Time Caller is that book for you. And anything by BK, really, but y'all know I love BK. I'm not gonna annoy you with the rant about how much I love BK Borson, but First Time Caller is, I feel like, a great romance. Like, I read First Time Caller and I mean, well into my reading journey, and I was like, am I reading the right romance books? Because that was amazing, and that was like nothing I've ever read before. It's just so refreshing. It's just very refreshing, and I always recommend it to anyone looking for a good time. And I think that's it. At this dang camera. Those are the books going in my holy grail so far. It's a little tiny holy grail, but it's worth it. If these are any of your holy grail books, please let me know. And if you have any personal holy grail books that I have not mentioned, please recommend them, because I'm always looking for my new favorite book, and I want to give these guys some friends in the holy grail. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want more stuff like this, my TikTok is gonna be somewhere, I think in the caption, probably, I don't know. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys liked it, and happy reading.